Good day, my name is BOOTCAMP Shuping, and I am going to be producing this entire video on these two devices over here. Now, this is about digital media, social media, and the influence that it's had in the world. Now, when people think of social media and digital media and technology in general, they think of the influence such as convenience, your connection to the world, access to information, news, media, and so much more. But like every story, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And that is the beginning of my story. As I said, every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And my story began in 1996. 1996 was the year my life changed. That was the year I was introduced to satellite TV and my mother purchased her first cell phone. In those days there were no salesmen, no stores, so he had to come to your house and explain how the phone worked. I remember people competing about who had the smallest megapixels on the smallest phones. But that year was the year I was introduced to the Sci-Fi channel, and that is when my life changed, because that is where I started seeing the norms that we have now. Portable computers, laptops, and tablets, phones, those are things I can only see on Star Trek. I never knew the influence that the internet would have in my lifetime. I never thought that one day I would be like Captain Kirk, calling the Enterprise from a small device in my hand. It took men like Gene Roddenberry to see the future and the imagination that could happen they had, but people like Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, companies like Google, Samsung, Apple, and BlackBerry help put the future in our hands. Even technology as we knew it 10 years ago is far from what we could have imagined it being today. Today, I use my phone to make a call, I sent a message, I used my GPS, and I went on social media, talking to friends, some of them I've never even met before. And all at the same time, I look for a recipe today. 20 years ago, I had to spend a certain time in front of the TV to know what was happening in the news. And you have to remember that sometimes people had to wait till the next day to get the news. So I had to sit there, be patient to know what's happening in sport and so forth. I had to go to the library to use an encyclopedia for projects to find information. Now, there are search engines. Type in any word and it appears. When I think of the news, I think of the Oscar Pistorius trial, and how journalists were there covering everything that was happening word for word through small portable devices. In the State of the Nation address, where the government tried to jam the signal, and we let them know through all forms of media that this we will not stand for. And soon they switched it back on. When our late president died, the whole world shared our pain with us, to the extent where I had to find out from a friend who lives in Europe that our person who was doing our sign language was making it up as it goes. This is why credible channels like eNCA are necessary when it comes to telling the news, because as a great man with foresight also once said, with great power comes great responsibility, and one should remember that loose lips make for sinking ships. Therefore news has to be credible, and as it is written and known, people have to make sure where it comes from, which is why it is necessary for channels like eNCA to have devices and portable media such as those apps that they have running right now, and also journalists who can report on them using credible devices and the mainstream to know what is happening in the world. Devices such as laptops, tablets, and phones that I will use to tell stories. The only thing I am waiting for right now is a device that will beam me up like Scotty directly to the news, so I can know what's happening without having to look at the computer and say it for myself.